They laughed at my car. Every time I drove through the neighborhood, HOA Karen smirked, rolled her eyes, and whispered loud enough so I could hear. "That car doesn't belong here," she'd say, while the other board members chuckled. It wasn't fancy, it wasn't new, but it was mine. I worked hard for it, and every dent and scratch carried a story. Still, to them, it was nothing more than an embarrassment. But here's the truth. Sometimes, people who laugh the loudest end up swallowing their pride the hardest. And this is the story of how their laughter turned into shock, and how I showed them that no one should ever measure your worth by the car you drive. At first, it hurt. You'd think neighbors would care about who you are, not what you drive. But the HOA wasn't like that. They acted like they owned the street. Every little thing became a reason for them to mock me. My car. Too old. My driveway. Too small. Even the way I parked. They found something to complain about. And at the center of it all was Karen. She wasn't just a board member. She was the self-proclaimed queen of the HOA. She had this way of laughing, sharp, cutting, and designed to humiliate. She'd say things like, "Maybe you should park around the corner. Your car lowers the neighborhood value." Or, "Why don't you trade it in for something decent? I mean, even a used SUV would look better." Every word was a knife, but she delivered it with that fake smile. The kind of smile that pretends to be polite, but really just wants to crush you. I told myself to ignore it. I told myself, let it go. Don't give them the satisfaction. But you can only take so much before something inside you snaps. And for me, that moment came when she laughed in front of everyone at a block party. I'd pulled in late, parked near the curb, and just as I stepped out, Karen pointed. Loud enough for the crowd, she said, "Oh look, here comes Mr. Rusty. Careful everyone, don't lean on it, it might fall apart." The crowd erupted. Even people I thought were friends chuckled under their breath. I smiled, nodded, pretended it didn't bother me. But inside, I was boiling. That was the day I promised myself I'd turn that laughter into silence. Now here's the thing. I wasn't broke. My car was old because I chose it, not because I couldn't afford better. I had a good job. I saved smart. But I wasn't the type to spend money just to impress neighbors. I valued meaning over image. That car had carried me through struggles, late-night shifts, road trips with friends, even breakdowns on the side of highways that taught me patience. It wasn't shiny, but it was a reminder of how far I'd come. But Karen didn't see that. She only saw status. And if you didn't play her game of showing off, you were beneath her. That's why her laughter cut deep. She wasn't mocking the car. She was mocking me. My worth. My dignity. So I started planning. Not revenge in the cruel sense, but a statement. Something that would make them rethink everything they believed about status and respect. The opportunity came sooner than I expected. A promotion at work. A big one. Months of hard work finally paid off, and suddenly I had more than enough to upgrade. And this time, I decided to go big. Not because I needed it. Not because I wanted to show off. But because sometimes, silence isn't enough. Sometimes, the only way to shut down the mockery is to give them something they can't laugh at. So, I bought a Lamborghini. Sleek, black, polished to perfection. The kind of car that doesn't just arrive, it announces. And for the first time, I felt a strange thrill. Not because of the car itself, but because I knew exactly what was about to happen. The day I brought it home, I made sure everyone was outside. It was another neighborhood event, an HOA meeting in Karen's driveway. Chairs, tables, lemonade pitchers. The usual scene. And there she was, in her oversized sunglasses, ready to judge someone else's lawn, mailbox, or siding color. I turned the corner slow. The engine purred like thunder. Every head swiveled. Conversations froze. Karen adjusted her sunglasses, squinting as the sunlight bounced off the polished hood. And then I pulled up right where I always parked, the same spot where my old car sat, the same spot she once called an eyesore. Silence. Pure, heavy silence. Karen's mouth opened, but no words came out. Her smirk disappeared, replaced by disbelief. And then, that moment, the one I'll never forget, she forced a laugh. Nervous, awkward, shallow. The laugh of someone caught in their own game. Here's the twist. I didn't rub it in. I didn't gloat. I didn't even say a word. I just stepped out, nodded politely, and walked into my house like it was nothing. That was the real victory. Not the car. Not the looks. But the fact that I no longer needed to defend myself. The silence said it all. Because respect earned through material things is temporary. But exposing arrogance without saying a word? That lasts. And from that day on, Karen never mocked my car again. She never mocked me again. She looked at me differently, not with kindness, but with caution. Like she finally realized that the person she underestimated wasn't someone to laugh at. This story isn't just about a Lamborghini. It's about dignity. It's about standing tall when others try to cut you down. It's about remembering that your worth is never tied to what you drive, where you live, or how shiny your life looks from the outside. It's tied to who you are, what you've overcome, and how you carry yourself when others doubt you. Karen laughed at my car. But in the end, the laughter stopped. Not because I won, but because she realized she'd already lost. So the next time someone laughs at you, mocks your effort, or belittles your journey, remember this: your story isn't defined by their opinion. And one day, when the time is right, you'll pull up in your own version of a Lamborghini. Backhand index pointing right. If you've ever been underestimated, laughed at, or mocked for what you have, or don't have, hit that follow. Because your story deserves to be heard, and one day, you'll prove them wrong without even saying a word. The Lamborghini changed everything. Not just for me, but for the entire neighborhood. Suddenly, the same people who laughed behind my back wanted to talk to me. The same voices that mocked my car now whispered about my success. It was strange, almost funny, how quickly people flipped when status symbols appeared. But deep down, I knew the truth. They didn't respect me. They respected the car. And that's the sad part. Respect should never be built on something that can be bought. Karen was the most affected. Before the Lambo, she treated me like I didn't belong. After the Lambo, she pretended like we were old friends. She waved at me when I drove past. She complimented me on my taste. She even said, "I always knew you'd do well." The same woman who laughed at my rusted car was now desperate to be on my good side. But here's the thing. When someone mocks you at your lowest, you never forget it. Her fake kindness was louder than her cruelty. It wasn't friendship. It was fear. She feared the power shift. She feared being the one looked down on. I could see it in her eyes. Every smile was forced, every word was calculated. She wasn't happy for me. She was shaken by the fact that the person she thought was beneath her had risen above her shallow standards. The neighborhood followed her lead. People who once ignored me suddenly stopped by to chat. "Nice car, man. Wow, that must feel amazing. We should hang out sometime." Their voices dripped with envy disguised as admiration. And though I smiled, nodded, and played along, I knew better. Respect built on envy is fragile. I wasn't angry. I wasn't bitter. But I couldn't ignore the lesson staring me in the face. People don't always see you. They see what you represent. If you drive an old car, you're less. If you drive a Lambo, you're more. But the truth? You're the same person either way. Only their perspective changes. And then came the ultimate moment. HOA Karen tried to use my car as her weapon. During a board meeting, she stood up, pointed at me, and said, "See, this is what a proper homeowner looks like. This is the standard we should all aim for." The room clapped. Neighbors nodded. For a second, I was stunned. She wasn't mocking me anymore. She was using me, twisting my story into her tool for control. That's when I spoke up. Calm, steady, and clear. I said, "Karen, you're right. A nice car looks good. But let's not forget something important. A month ago, you laughed at me for driving an old one. You judged me, not for who I was, but for what I drove. And now, suddenly, I'm your example? That doesn't say much about me. It says everything about you." The room fell silent. Her face turned red. And for the first time, she had no words. That silence was louder than applause. Because everyone saw the truth. The HOA wasn't about community or standards. It was about appearances. And Karen, she was the queen of appearances. After that night, things changed for good. Neighbors stopped mocking me. Not because of the car, but because I exposed the hypocrisy. Some even apologized privately, admitting they laughed because they didn't want to be on Karen's bad side. Others admitted they admired how I handled it. For once, I wasn't the target. And Karen, she kept her distance. She waved less, smiled less. She couldn't stand the reminder that her laughter didn't break me. In fact, it made me stronger. Here's the real lesson. Your worth isn't proven when you buy something flashy. It's proven when you rise above the mockery without losing yourself. The Lambo wasn't my victory. My victory was holding my head high when all I had was that old car. My victory was showing up, smiling, and refusing to let their words define me. Because one day, life will hand you a moment. A chance to silence the noise without saying a word. And when that day comes, you'll realize you were always enough. With or without the shine. I think back often to the block party. That moment when Karen laughed in front of everyone. Back then, I felt humiliated. Today, I feel grateful. Because that moment planted the seed of change. Without her mockery, I wouldn't have learned the power of silence. Without her cruelty, I wouldn't have seen the weakness behind arrogance. Sometimes, the people who try to break you are the ones who build you the most. Their laughter forces you to grow stronger. Their judgment teaches you not to care. Their cruelty shows you the value of kindness. So here's my message to you. If you've ever been laughed at for what you drive, where you live, how you dress, or what you own, don't let it define you. Don't let it crush you. Because one day, you'll pull up in your own version of a Lamborghini. And when you do, the silence will be louder than their laughter. It might not be a car. It might be a promotion, a business, a degree, a house, or even peace of mind. Whatever it is, that moment will be yours. And the people who once mocked you will be the ones whispering about you. Karen laughed at my car. But when I pulled up in a Lambo, she didn't just stop laughing. She lost her voice. And in that silence, I realized something powerful. The goal isn't to prove them wrong. The goal is to live so well, so true to yourself, that their opinions don't matter anymore. Because at the end of the day, respect built on love lasts. Respect built on fear fades. And respect built on envy? That was never real in the first place. If this story hit you, if you've ever been mocked, doubted, or underestimated, follow for more. Because I promise you this, your worth is not measured by the car in your driveway. It's measured by the strength in your journey.